Welcome to February's Word of Life podcast presented by Focolare Media. My name is Nick Chamfarani. In today's episode, Gail Giacobbe from New Jersey shares her unexpected role as a translator for the Italian soccer team during the 1994 World Cup and the special experience she created for her students, which had a lasting impact. Mario Dessa shares the financial hardships his family faced after his wife Charlotte lost her job, and how they turned to faith, prayer, and mutual support to overcome their struggles. And Ana Lonngi from Florida shares how she helped a sad child in her class by simply listening, ultimately bringing joy back into his life. This month, the scripture passage is taken from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. Test everything, hold fast to what is good. Before we go to the stories, Tom Rowley will share a short reflection.
The gospel provides us with a path to reach the goal that God, in His infinite love, has for every believer, that is, to be with Him for eternity in heaven. The world in which we live is filled with many attractions that can distract us from the path the gospel leads us on. This is why this month's Word of Life is so important. Test everything. Hold fast to what is good. When we understand that the good referred to is the God-given message of the gospel, it will help us reach the goal He desires for us.
Gail, welcome. Welcome to our podcast. It is a great joy to have you join us today. How are you?
Thank you, Nick. It's also a joy for me to be with all of you, and I'm fine, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Okay. I've been a teacher my working life. I started teaching in 1970 and finished in 2001, and I taught Italian and French in high school.
I'm sure you have an abundance of stories to share about those years and with the students. And we want to hear one of your stories, and you shared that with me earlier. So can you tell us a little bit how it started, how it came about?
Yeah, I was very innocent. I was in the classroom in the afternoon in like January, February, like around now, and I was teaching. It was in the year 1994, and we always had a phone on our wall for emergencies. And so I'm teaching. It was a class of sophomores, girls and boys, and a good group of kids. And sophomore year is always the hardest in high school. They were very, let's just say very energetic. So I'm teaching in the afternoon, and all of a sudden the phone rings. And I said, quiet kids, I have to answer the phone. So I answered the phone, and a man said, is this the Italian teacher, Gail Giacobbe? And I said, yes, it is. And the kids were quiet. They were listening. And I said, yeah, may I help you? And he said, well, this coming June, I don't know if you're aware of it, but it is the World Cup in the United States for soccer. And we'd like to ask you to be one of the interpreters for the Italian soccer team. And they'll be staying at a hotel right nearby. So I said, the World Cup this June, soccer? You want me to be the interpreter for the Italian soccer team? Oh, no, thank you so much. Anyway, but I'm really not interested in soccer. All of a sudden, my students went, you have to take the job. We want to meet them. And the person on the other end started to laugh. I was shocked at their reaction because I thought, what do they care too? But they cared, of course. So right away, I said to him, okay, I'll come in for an interview. When should I come and where do I meet you? So I went in for the interview. And I was tired. It was a wonderful experience. I mean, it really was, because I was with them everywhere for all the games. We traveled. I wasn't the only interpreter, but I was one of the main interpreters. So one night, their manager, Arrigo Sacchi, came up to me and said to me in Italian, of course, he said, when are you inviting your students? And I said, what? And he said, yeah, you told me about your students. Why don't they come? And I said, really? And he said, absolutely. He said, this coming, Friday night, we'll close it up, the hotel, make sure, no one else comes in except the team and, of course, the staff, and bring your students and let them come in and meet the players. So what an experience for them. They came and they were able to meet each one. And it was beautiful for them, and it was also beautiful for me. And also the Italian soccer team was so happy to meet these high school students. But I was so happy. It was a moment for me that I always tried to love when I taught, my students concretely, whatever I could do for them as a whole and each one. And it was just the way to really love them concretely. I can't even tell you their joy. It was phenomenal.
Now, was there any particular encounter that you had with the team or with a player or?
Yeah. Well, one by one, I made sure that, I was there, whatever they needed me to translate and all of that. So I really tried to be loved for each one of them. Um, you know, and but at one point there was something very funny. I didn't know any of the play. I never followed soccer. I mean, I didn't. So anyway, so the manager of the hotel said, Gail, when they arrive, they're arriving today from Italy. We want you to be right in the front. So when the bus comes up, you be right there. So when that door opens, you say hello to each one and welcome. So of course, because no one else spoke Italian but me in the hotel. So I was there, and the bus came, and boy, what a crowd of TV cameras and the whole bit. Yeah, so there I was, and one by one, they came off the bus, and I said, benvenuto, welcome, one by one. And when one came off the bus, everyone screamed. Then I knew why. It was Roberto Baggio, okay, who at that moment was, like a second Pele, so to say. So he came off the bus, and I said to him, welcome in Italian. And he said, grazie, thank you. And I knew it was him, of course. So I said to him, I don't know why, I said, what's your name? And he looked at me and he goes, you don't know me? So I said, well, no. Do you know me? I said, I'm a very famous Italian teacher. Well, he laughed so hard, and he just put his arms around, just hugged me. And he just thought that was so funny. What a nice fella. And that really, it was beautiful with him. Many times we would just have these wonderful talks, and he would tell me about his background when he was a kid and everything. The other day, just to tell you, last week I was in a store nearby here, and a woman was passing by. It was a grocery store, and she said to me, aren't you Miss Giacobbe? And I said, yes, I am. And she said, don't you remember me? And I said, you look familiar. And she said, I'm Patty so-and-so. She said the last name of his mother. Oh, I said, of course, I remember. How was Patty doing? And she said, fine now. And she told me about it. And she said, I want you to know she talks about you every now and then, even now, because she said how much you cared for the students and how much they appreciated you and everything you did for them. And I said, well, I'm happy to have heard that, to hear that. And once in a while, I do run into some of my other students, the students themselves, and they all tell me, that one of the greatest times for them in high school was meeting the soccer team during the World Cup.
Beautiful. Well, listen, Gail, we want to thank you for joining us, and we wish you all the best. And hopefully you'll be an Italian translator for the next World Cup somewhere. Who knows?
Well, the next World Cup is here in the United States. I haven't
Hey,
heard it.
so you never know.
You never know. Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Take care.
You too.
Before introducing our next guest, I'd like to invite you to consider donating to Focolare Media. It will help us continue producing inspiring podcasts. Visit our website, focolaremedia.com/donate. Thank you in advance for your support. Hello, Mario. Welcome to our podcast. It's so good to see you again after such a long time.
Thanks, Nick. It's been years since we last met. I'm originally from Pakistan.
Thank you, Mario, for that. So we're really eager to listen to your story. So go ahead.
Sure, Nick. I'll try my best. It's been a few years since Charlotte lost her job. She was devastated, and was especially because it had a big impact on our family. We lived pretty much paycheck to paycheck, and I was filled with fear and anxiety. I felt that we needed to trust that God would take care of our family. Together, we talked to our two girls and encouraged them to join us in praying. The last thing we wanted was to make them feel insecure. We explained the situation to them. This was an experience that helped our girls to grow in responsibility and care. However, coping with the loss of employment for Charlotte was not easy. The stress was making her very emotional and sensitive, and at times it was difficult to keep mutual love. I was doing my best to be there for her, support her, console, and encourage her, and be there for the girls. But I also had to get up as early as 4:30 in the morning and go to work, and I was coming back tired late at night. I realized there was the perception that I was not contributing enough to our family life, and that was a suffering for me. One evening, when I arrived home tired from work, I asked Charlotte what was for dinner. She misunderstood my question and thought I was expecting to find dinner ready and be served. That was not my intention. And but I understood that I had to love more and love better. Be aware of her sensitivity, especially in that difficult period that she was going through. That evening, we reconciled and recommitted to starting again. One biggest challenge was financial, but we kept trusting in God's providence, and He would take care of us. We came up with a solution where we could cut corners and be wise with how we spent our money. We experienced how true the gospel promises are. We received approval for temporary relief on a girls' tuition at this school. We were able to obtain temporary relief on our home mortgage payments and Charlotte's student loans. It was 2 months before Charlotte found a new job and got it on the day of our 16th wedding anniversary. It happened that a family with small children was going through a challenging time. They had two small salaries from jobs that required a car. We had just received a car from an uncle. It was a gift for my eldest daughter. We decided to offer our car to the family for as long as they needed it. We felt such a great joy in helping this family out. I had been searching for a better job and was able to find one as a manager. I don't have to leave as early in the morning anymore. It's not just an opportunity for better pay, but also better serve my neighbors. In this case, the employees I supervise. Three of them suffer disabilities, and one is blind. I see this as an opportunity to love more and help the others to do the same. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Mario. I want to thank you for taking the time to share this beautiful experience. Thank you again for joining us. Welcome, Anna. It's so wonderful to have you on our podcast. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I know that you have an experience that you could share with us. Before you do share it, I'd like to ask you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure. Well, as you said, my name is Anna. I live just outside of Sarasota, Florida. I am married, and we have two children, a 16-year-old girl and a 13-year-old boy. I'm working as a substitute teacher.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I think your experience also relates to that, being in the school yeah, if you'd like to share that with us, we would really be happy to hear it.
Yeah, my pleasure, of course. As I said, I work as a substitute teacher in an elementary school. And when I'm there, I also help with the kids that are dropped off early before the school day begins. And well, that particular morning, a boy came to me saying that Mason, another boy, was crying. And so as I walked over towards Mason, this boy added that he missed his dad. So that Mason was missing his dad. So I saw Mason with a 7-year-old, and he looked really, really sad. I mean, his whole expression was like he was down. And I tried to make him feel better with one of the things that had worked maybe in other moments with kids, saying that we can hold people that we love in our hearts, and even when we're not close to them. And the other boy chimed in and he says, yes, and then when they come pick you up, then you can tell them all about your day and what you did. To which Mattson looked up and said, "But my dad died when I was little." So it was a moment where I really didn't know what to say. I just felt what he was feeling. And so I asked him if it was okay if I sat with him. And he said yes. So I just sat with him and we started talking. And he started telling me about, well, in the conversation, we said that it's hard when you wish you could be with someone that is not there. That it makes you sometimes feel sad or it's difficult. And then he shared that his dad had died when he was about 4 years old. And he started recounting some of his memories with him. And also he mentioned that his mom might remarry and have another baby. And as we were talking, I could see how his expression transformed from sad to peaceful. And at a certain point, he just got up and went to play with the other kids. And it was really a moment, a tiny moment. But I was left with the impression of having just met Jesus in that moment. And it was kind of this, I don't know, I felt it was really important to just make space for what the other person is living, feeling, and to kind of hold on to that with them rather than to rush to try to find a solution to fix things, you know? So starting the next day, every day, I'm there. Mattson will come and greet me with a smile, sometimes give me a hug. I know that he probably knows that I'm his friend. Mhm.
Wow, that's so precious. And that attention that you gave to Mattson was, I think, very important.
Thank you, Nick.
Great, great. And give my greetings to everyone in the family.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you have been inspired by the wonderful stories shared. I look forward to being with you again next month. To listen to a reflection and a commentary on the Word of Life, log on to your favorite podcast platform and look for Word of Life Podcast by Focolare Media. There, you'll be able to listen to previous episodes. I invite you to join me each month for new episodes. You can also read additional experiences in Living City magazine. If you have a story that you would like to share with me, please write to me at nick.chanfarani@focolaremedia.com. Bye for now, and God bless.